All right, I'm gonna hold off there if we're going too much deeper than that. I just wanted to give you a high level of what starts to be possible. And your individual circumstance is going to vary and going to be different. So at this point, I want to turn it back to you. First of all, what questions do you have that I haven't answered? And second, does this spark any ideas for you in your business? I'd love to hear it. If this sparks something, you're like, okay, here's how I might use that. So go ahead and unmute if you have something to share. How do you think this would fit into your business? Or does it not? Maybe it doesn't. That's okay too.
I have a Shopify store on my bigger recipe site. And I've wanted to sell things on my other sites, but they have less traffic. And so I've never wanted to pay for another store. And so I could really see, I could really see this being better than Shopify.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier with it all being in here. So I kind of like that.
Cool.
So yeah, I think that'll be nice for my smaller stuff too. Like I've wanted to sell like a Christmas dessert digital cookbook on my dessert site, but I never really kind of knew how to do it because I don't want to pay for a whole nother store. And you don't want to do that with this.
So for those that are unfamiliar with the Shopify thing that you're describing, what are the costs associated with Shopify?
I don't know.
Okay.
I actually just texted one of my business partners and asked them for them to look it up because I can't remember, but it's not cheap.
Right.
By any means. So
you're paying for the software plus
then you have to pay for the processing fees. So, but now with, it's $40 monthly. Okay, there you go. But now, yeah, so you kind of have to sell a lot of digital cookbooks to make it worth your while if you're on a smaller site. But the thing that I don't like the Shopify is when you click on it, it doesn't look like your website. Like you can put your logo on it, but I really liked how you were talking about setting up a shop page and just using blocks. Cause now, like, why didn't I think of that? And then they're never leaving your site, or it doesn't look like they're ever leaving. And I feel like more people would buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the way that Notion template was looking, it looks integrated. You probably can take these pieces, right. And even if you're just using a button that triggers even if right. You never even use their product page, you could use right. If you knew your CSS well enough, or you trigger it, that modal, that could work too.
Right. Yeah. So I definitely think that could replace that for sure with any printables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a couple of people on this call. I don't want to necessarily put you on the spot, but I know that you sell some stuff. I'd love to hear as you're weighing this, that wouldn't work for us because. Do I have anybody that's like that?
So it wouldn't work for part of what Terry does. We have an online running course and it's video content and it's built out in Kajabi. So I don't think it could work on this, but we've talked about using Patreon before, but it looks like here there's a members only newsletter option. Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be one way to, instead of creating an entire Patreon strategy, kind of just moving it into ConvertKit and having it for maybe a segment that Terry offers for exclusive content.
Let's talk about that for a second, Hannah. And Sally, I know you're asking a question in the chat too. Members only newsletters. For what you all are doing, how do you envision separate newsletter free stuff versus members only? What does that, at the high level, what does that look like? Hannah, Sally, what are you thinking?
For Terry, we're kind of toying with the idea of launching kind of a business, like behind the scenes business, become an influencer, build an email list, online selling kind of course. So Terry's audience currently they're the people that are reading the newsletter or shopping the links, but there is a small niche of people who want to learn the business strategy side of it. So the whole back end. So that was the niche that we talked about doing, members only things for. So the secrets of how I use Like to Know It, how I use affiliate links, the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, cool. Sally, any thoughts? Oh, she says more exclusive content, meal plans, extra recipes, etc. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you sharing. For those of you who aren't selling anything, I don't know, Sandy. Yeah, Katie, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Matt. I just wanted to pipe in for me. So I have 2 Shopify stores, one for each of my websites. And the one thing, I don't know if I saw ability to do this, but on my one Shopify store, I have a ton of things. So it's, there's ways to filter, I guess. So if somebody wants to just look at, you know, my SVG cut files, they can go there, then they can click Christmas or Easter or multiple filtering options, which I feel like that's actually one of the reasons I went to Shopify, was to have that for if you're selling a lot of product.
Right.
For less product, I can see the page working, but for my one website, it's just too many things. I think it would be overwhelming to just keep scrolling through.
I think you're right. And I think that if you were to try to save yourself the $40 a month, what you would be doing here is you'd probably have to create your own navigation, your own shop navigation like these folks have, that then sends them into Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, or whatever it is that you have. You would have to do it in CSS, or like in my case, I might have to have multiple shop that come off, one shop page, and then one that is a link full of Christmas stuff, and one that's a link full of Easter stuff, and so forth. So you'd have to manually do it, I think. That's a really good point. All right, is anybody who has not been selling anything, has this made you think about selling something that you perhaps hadn't been thinking about it before? Not trying to put words in your mouth here, but I'm really trying to get a sense of how this works for my clients. Sandy, you're nodding your head. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I have a little cookbook that I made, but it's really specific to one subject. And I was thinking that it might encourage me to make a few other small cookbooks that are relevant to a certain thing, you know, like a certain cuisine or whatever. And that could be a fun way to sell them. I took a lot of the links off of my blog for my other book, because it was just kind of a pain for me. You know, I didn't have a good way to promote it or anything. And I feel like this would be something I could promote through my email list. I mean, ConvertKit is already so expensive. If we could get one more thing out of it, I think that would help offset the monthly cost. Because you know how it is, you ladies all know, when when your email list is huge, it's super expensive. And if we can, you know, sell something through that, that would be pretty cool. So it could encourage me to make some more ebooks and, you know, promote and sell at the same time.
Yeah.
Using that list.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And that's a great thought. Create your opt-ins, your lead magnets, your quick start guides, whatever it's going to be, on a particular subject matter area, segment. Find out who they are. And then you could create both evergreen and promotional messages and campaigns and sequences that, you know, whether it's a forever series or it's a limited time series or it's a Black Friday promotion, hit people with those, because you know what they want. They're into slow cooker, boom. The slow cooker cookbook is a great thing to sell at that time.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah.
Sally, will you unmute for a second? Or I don't know if you can. Maybe you're not in a place where you can.
I kind of look like hell, so I didn't want to be on camera. That's okay.
Awesome. So tell me what you were thinking, what you're doing, how you're doing the Teachable replacement, because that's a tricky one, what you're trying to do.
So I had these 2 courses. I don't offer them anymore, but I had 2 courses and I bought Teachable and I had them on there, and it was, you know, costing a lot of money, and the courses didn't end up kind of panning out as well as I had hoped. And so I was spending all this money on Teachable and just didn't know what to do. And so someone suggested that I move them to Google Drive off of Teachable. And then I lowered the price because, you know, people weren't getting that nice functionality of Teachable anymore. They were like video courses. And then I used ConvertKit to do the, you know, I had sales pages on my site, and then it went over to ConvertKit to do the sales for them. So for me, it was a nice compromise when I wasn't ready to like stop the courses entirely, but I didn't want to pay the $250 a year or whatever Teachable was at that time.
Right.
So that's how I used it for a while.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
Any other thoughts before I leave you with this? Like,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on my website, like for when I have like a crock pot recipe, then on that recipe, I have it set to where ConvertKit will show the newsletter for that, per category is what I'm trying to say. Do you think there's a way for the products to do that too through their app, or does that make sense? So like,
Yeah,
let's say I have a crock pot cookbook. I want it to show, I don't want it to show on my grilling recipe. I want it to show on my crock pot recipe. Do you think there's a way to do that so it's individualized? Because that would be huge.
well, aren't you really? I mean, the reality is, let's think about that for a second. What is actually happening there? They land on the crock pot, right? And then you show this crock pot related product.
Right.
And when you're showing that, that's really there's going to be an ad of some sort. There's going to be the buy now button really can take them anywhere. It could take them to PayPal, it could take them to Gumroad, it could take them to this ConvertKit Commerce page. So what you really need to have happen is you need either a pop-up or a embedded form.
Okay.
That then when you click on it will take you elsewhere. So for those types of things, that's where that Convert Pro stuff or some other third-party opt-in works well, because you can create a whole lot of them. Convert Pro, by the way, does have an embedded form option with it.
Yeah.
So the same way that you make, because I'm mentioning this because I think, Carrie, you are on Convert Pro, right?
Yeah. We just switched. I like it.
And so if you learn how to do the basics with the pop-up aspect, it's the same type of thing, except with a couple minor tweaks related to where it gets shown on an embedded form. So instead of it being a collecting an email address there,
right, it would be a buy now button.
Yeah,
right?
or that button would be learn more, which would
Learn
then
more,
take you to some deeper landing page where you're really selling it.
Got it.
That's
I
probably
could see that being huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. You could target certain categories and whatnot. Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
Hannah asked about, for Convert, this is a separate question, but not related to ConvertKit Commerce, but for Convert Pro, which is a pop-up software that I talk about a lot. When you're making a form, you have a choice to make both at the same time. So while you're creating it, you can see that you'll make a desktop version and a mobile version, and they can look completely different. If you get a second, go into email and autopilot and just watch that little video, scrub. I think it's like the 8-minute or 9-minute mark. Put it on chipmunk mode and hear me fast, and just kind of get a sense of how it's done. Even if you don't buy it, you'll be able to see how it works. Any other questions or thoughts about ConvertKit Commerce or anything else while we're together? I'm happy to whatever's happening in your business. I'm happy to dive in if you'd like. But your thoughts they're what drive me about what to build next.
I have a question on Matt. This is Cielo.
Hi.
Hey, so how about just sharing sensitive information? Like, I feel sometimes people are very adamant to share credit card information over a forum.
That's going to happen no matter what when you're dealing with commerce. It's a fair concern for sure. They are using SSL certificates to make sure that the information is submitted safely and securely. It seems to be industry standard. I don't see anything in there that scares me, the way that they're building that. There's not really an easy answer to that other than this is e-commerce today. This is how it's done. So if they're using Stripe, which they are, Stripe is massive, has a fantastic reputation. It's not like they partnered with, Joe's credit cards down the street or something. So I think they picked a good partner.
Okay, I think I missed a step. Okay, so then that's good because people are familiar with Shopify, they are familiar with Kajabi. There's more options for payment sometimes. But yeah, Stripe, if they're doing it through Stripe, it should be good enough. Okay.
Yeah, agreed. Fair question.
Is there,
all right.
Matt,
Yes.
is there something on there that we could just put a little line? I don't know about legalities and stuff, but just say pay through the secure channel, or pay through. If you use the word secure, I always feel like that kind of encourages people to know that, okay, well, whatever they're using, it's a secure channel or secure processing.
I believe that you can, with these landing pages and these product pages, you can say whatever you want. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you can add that to the description. Okay, just because you're here with me, you'll be the first to learn about this next week. I hope this was helpful for you. If it wasn't, let me know that too, how I could make these a little bit better. Probably shorter, might have been good, right? So next week, I'm going to be doing a first time thing. I've never done this before and it'll only be for email on autopilot students. I'm introducing a new interview series that I'm going to be doing once per month. It's called Email Crushing It. And I'm going to be interviewing some creators like yourselves that are doing good things with email. Instead of just hearing from me about what I tell you to do, let's hear what you all are doing. So my first one is going to be one of my oldest friends in the blogging world and one of my first clients, and she is actually responsible for getting me into all this because she grabbed these concepts and she ran with it and had such great success that it got me so jazzed to turn this into a business. Her name is Jansen Bradshaw. She's from Everyday Reading. And she is a former librarian, has an MBA in librarian sciences. She has products, a blog, and a service where she helps parents instill a love of reading in their kids. And she is doing some stuff that you have never thought of before. With my ideas, she's taken them and gone whoop and turned them into next level awesome. So first of all, we're going to talk about how she's reinvigorating her old content using email and automations. So you'll hear about that. And it's kind of forever serious stuff, but gone next step. So that's pretty cool. And then she's going to share with you this incredible genius hack that she has used over the last 3 years to convert her Instagram audience into email subscribers. And not just any old email subscribers. These are people that are opening, clicking everything going forward. And then last, she's going to share her email income streams with you. We were talking today about the costs of this stuff. So she's going to open it up and say, here's how I make money with email. And she does. I'll get texts from her all the time about, oh, I just did this. And she just blows my mind. So you're going to love to hear from her. It's going to be next Monday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. Sally asked, where are the recorded sessions housed? I'll probably just put it in the Email on Autopilot Facebook group so that it's just my students that get access to that. Okay. I hope you'll join me live if you can. Give Jansen some of that energy. But appreciate you all. Let me know if you have questions or ideas related to ConvertKit Commerce. I want to help you be successful with that too. I may turn this into a course of some sort. I'm still figuring all that out. So your thoughts are paramount to what I'm doing. Appreciate you. All right. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Talk soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.